Welcome back to the FanTEAsy Podcast, where two besties spill all the delicious tea on the books we read. I'm Callie, and my bestie is Montana.
We are so excited to be continuing our journey in the series of Fourth Wing. We are dividing the book into 8 sections, and today we are covering chapters 12 through 15. So this is episode 3. If you haven't watched the first two, go back and watch those ones. Each episode, we're diving into the characters, the world, the signets, the dragons, and even some fan theories. So please take note and prepare to enter Basgiath War College.
Now remember, it isn't that easy to get into the writer's quadrant. First off, this is a full deep dive and breakdown of Fourth Wing. If you have not read all of the book, please go finish and race back here. We will be discussing all of the Empyrean series and each episode, even if we are just covering a few chapters per episode. That means that we will probably, but definitely say things that don't necessarily happen in the selected chapters for that episode. We say this because we are human and sometimes our mouths work faster than our brains. Things will come out, and we do not want to spoil anything for anyone if you have not read both books yet.
Along with not wanting to spoil the journey of the story, please note that we are adults. We will be having adult conversation. There will be graphic content. We will be swearing. So we are rating this episode rated R. Also, there is some controversy on pronunciation. We know this. We know Rebecca intended it one way. We know the Scottish Gaelic words are said completely different and everything in between. So, you know what? Please be kind. Because if you say something differently than we do, that's totally cool. Also, if you are a fan of the FanTEAsy Podcast, please consider leaving us a review or a rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Give our YouTube channel a like, a subscribe, follow our Instagram and our TikTok. Really help the algorithm and help us grow our journey.
With that, I have an extremely important question for you. Are you ready for it?
It's like the best part.
Episode 3. Episode 3. I'm so excited. I love these chapters.
It was really good.
But before we get into them, we always start our episodes with the most important question. If you've been following for a little bit, you know that we are huge Swifties. So, Montana, what era are you in today?
You know what? I shocked you a couple days ago, and I'm going to stay there with the shock factor. I am never in a red era, but lately, that's where I'm at. What about you?
You're still there. Ooh, I don't really know. Yesterday was super rep for me, but today feels. It's hard to say. What was I listening to this morning? Evermore, which is kind of really out there for me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just hits different, you know?
It's all right. You know what? We can change eras throughout the day, throughout our moods. I mean, you could be in like a specific song.
It does.
It's totally cool. Shall we?
I feel like that's where I'm at. Like,
Yeah, 100%. Shall we move into the most beautiful, hilarious monologue that the internet has ever seen?
oh, geez. You gotta stop hyping me up so much. Chapters 12 through 15, which this point in the book, things are really starting to ramp up. So these are some shorter chapters, but a lot has happened. And so, yeah, I'll get into it. Chapter 12, 15 summary. Oh, gosh.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, queen. Okay. Welcome back to Basgiath. Starting out in Chapter 12, Violet and the other cadets are seen entering the flight field for presentation. They line up, COVID style, 7 feet apart, and march through the massive dragons, assessing them. Violet and Rhiannon keep conversations light as they make their way through, trying not to draw too much attention and survive this next test. Although that can't be said for a few other loudmouths in the group. Chapter 13. October 1st is always Threshing, and today is that day. Violet readies herself with Rhiannon as they give each other one last hug before heading into the valley to hopefully find their dragons. As Violet passes every color of the rainbow dragon, she is still unbonded until she sees the glint of gold in the distance and knows the Feathertail is near. Soon, though, she hears the Three Stooges, Jack, Orin, and Tynan as they are plotting to kill the small golden dragon. Violet, the small silver one, takes it upon herself to stop this from happening. Chapter 14. Violet is now face to face with Ricky, Dicky, and Mo as they battle before the small dragon. Violet, the almost assassin she is, uses her daggers to fight them off. Ricky takes off running to the trees. Dicky is left unconscious on the ground, and now it is just Mo and Violet. I can't take myself seriously. Tynan and Violet are the only two left standing when suddenly from the skies comes barreling down the largest black dragon I have ever seen. In one quick breath, Tynan is nothing but a pile of ash on the forest floor. Bye, Tynan! Now Violet is alone with the black and gold dragons, Tarn and Goldie, when Tarn simply turns to her and says, "Get on." As they take off into the sky, Violet's grip is weak and she loses her seat. Chapter 15. And I'm free falling. Violet is caught midair thanks to Tarn, who manages not to crush her beneath his huge claws and flings her up into the air as he swooshes beneath her to catch her on his back. Talk about a thrill ride. Violet is so dumbfounded on how this huge dragon, who was not even at presentation, decided to show up today of all days and bond her. With the questions and very few answers, she reaches through the bond to find them. Taryn, the dragon with the most, decides now is a great time to do some stunt flying. So while Violet holds on for dear life, the two of them go spiraling through the sky like a damn Blue Angel show before landing on the flight field. To everyone's surprise, both Taryn and the small golden dragon are in attendance. As Violet makes her way to the roll keeper to share the name of her bonded dragon, the news of the century comes out. Violet has bonded not one, but two dragons. Now let's jump back a few chapters and see just how she did it.
Dun dun dun. I was waiting for that the whole
It's the
time.
best
I'm
part.
like,
Dun, dun, dun.
I still can't get over the COVID line. You're like, COVID protocol here.
That's all I kept thinking. It was 7 feet, not 6, but that's
Same difference.
when I was rereading, I was like, COVID style, stay away from me. You got germs. I thought you were going to really enjoy my Ricky, Dicky, and Mo.
I did. I thought that was hilarious.
Stupid Scrooges. They're so, I have feelings about them, but we'll get to those.
We will.
Yeah.
Shall we roll right on into chapter 12?
Keep on rolling. Short chapter summary. Chapter 12. It is presentation day. After the cadets went wild in the gauntlet, they are now to march across the flight field in front of all 101 dragons ready to bond during threshing. Violet bandaged up her arms and lines up amongst her squad mates Tynan, Luca, Riddick, and Rhiannon. They each line up 7 feet apart and march through the middle of two long lines of ginormous dragons. Huge, massive. During which they are sizing up each cadet and assessing which cadets will make good riders. Violet has a few close encounters with a couple of dragons, but ultimately makes it off the flight field unscorched. Woo!
That's the girl.
She survives. That's our girl. Chapter 12 in a nutshell.
First I was afraid. I was petrified.
The interesting thing is because they like talk about it too, like when someone does get scorched, they're like, there's nothing even there. I'm like, well, yeah. But also, how does it happen that quickly? Like, wouldn't they just like catch on fire? Or is this like lava breathing dragons and they'd like,
I mean,
how are they just instantly gone? It's like a puff of fire and then nothing.
That's just how dragons have always been described. It's just like I just imagine like a big incinerator just like immediately like whoosh done and you're just ash. Like there's
instant.
Yeah. It's if you've ever played Call of Duty Black Ops 2 in the zombie area, it'll be like insta kill. That's what this is. It's an insta kill.
Oh. Insta kill. No, I never played Call of Duty.
You're not
actually, that's not true. I've played. I just was never good, so I've never like played.
You're not Karen Filippelli out here. Call of Duty.
Call of Duty! No. What does she say to Jim? She's, like, mad, and they're, like, fighting. They're, like, in the office, like, playing, and she's like I don't remember what she says, but she, like, yells at Jim. She's like, "It's your fault."
Oh yeah, they're all like arguing about it, and then she's like, "Oh, look how cute he is, like in the corner." And he turns around, and she's like, "Any last words?" Boom.
Dead. Headshot.
I mean, Call of Duty's ruthless.
Uh,
Anyway, presentation day
anyway, we
is
got
not
a
Call of
little off there.
Duty.
Presentation day. No, this is actually, like, the tamest chapter for this section that we're covering, I think.
Weirdly enough, because I mean, could you
Yeah.
imagine having to walk by these dragons who are described as 25 feet tall, and you just have to be like, don't look them in the
On
eyes,
average. That's
casually, yeah,
average.
just casually have a conversation, just strut on along like you're a little, walking not towards your
No.
death, little fashion show.
No. No, I didn't like it. But then I liked it because they noted, like, talk to your nearby squad mates while you're on the path. It helps the dragons get a sense of who you
Hmm.
are and how well you play with others. And then they said, like, there's a correlation between bottom cadets and the level of chatter. And so, like, we watch them as they're going through, and, like, the lineup is, like, Riddick, no, Tynan, Violet, Rhiannon. And so they're walking through, and I'm like, they're just chatting. And so she's like casually over her shoulder, like, Rhiannon, is your sister going to have a boy or a girl?
Right? Just trying to keep her calm.
Like, such a, yeah, just such a random conversation to be having at this particular
Yeah.
moment. But that chatter and just like seeing, and I think it gives the dragons like a sense of, okay, yeah, they have empathy, or they
Hmm.
have compassion, or they, you know, whatever, they're strong-willed, or whatever. And then obviously there's people out there like Tynan that is like, what breed are they? I need to decide which one I'm gonna bond. Like,
Yeah.
bitch, you don't get to decide.
And it's probably a way of seeing how they connect with one another to know, like, okay, if I bond you, are you going to be a team player if that matters? Are you going to be willing to fight alongside people for the cause? And,
Yeah.
all of that too. They've got a lot to check out. And yeah, you're right. Tynan's out there just being a little bitch while Violet and Rhiannon are like, let's just try and stay calm and not die.
Well, and two, I think like we learn.
Callie, this is the perfect moment. They're having these nonchalant conversations while walking by the dragons because they're going eternally, no thanks, I choose life.
No thanks, I choose life.
Sid the Sloth, I'm telling you.
You like scared me. I'm like, what is happening?
It just hit me. I knew we were going to find a
I
place
think
to
it
say
was.
it.
It's on the brain. It's really on the
It
brain
is.
today.
It's
No
fine.
thanks. Uh, I think too, like we learn later. Well, maybe they discussed it. I literally can't remember. Today has been a day, folks. Okay,
Feel.
bear with me. But the bond between dragons too. So I think like this whole they're having these conversations amongst each other, but also shows the dragons like, okay, if the dragon is bonded to another dragon, and then those people come intertwined, how well do they play
Yeah.
together? Is this something that could work in the future? Kind of those thoughts too, I think, are happening
Hmm.
amongst the dragons. Like, these dragons are far more intelligent than we're like led to believe to this point. I mean, well, no, that's not true. They talk about him pretty highly.
They do. And I think it's really cool because, while Tynan and Luca just have nothing but conceited or nasty things to say, and Violet and Rhiannon are just kind of like, stay calm. Riddick is just admiring them for what they are. And it's like, yeah, you know what? You deserve to
Yes.
bond because you think these are the coolest fucking things you have ever seen. And you worked hard to get here. So you deserve it.
He's so cute in
No.
this little part. I think I even noted it. Where did I put it? I had the cutest little I don't see. But he was so cute, and I was just like, Riddick, You just bring a little smile to my face. You're so
I just
cute.
love him.
There was something at the very beginning of this chapter. I do love him. At the very beginning of this chapter, we see Garrick
Mm-hmm.
lining up the squad to like head into presentation, and he like waves them with his arm, right? And so it says, with a wave that makes the rebellion relic on his bared forearm gleam.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this before with Zayden's relics and how they like shimmer or like gleam in the
Yeah.
light. And then it just like kind of got brought to our attention after that would have been in the first episode. But our friend Jason at What TBR on Insta sent us the Empyrean
Mm-hmm.
definition, which says relating to heaven or the sky. And honestly, I'm ashamed of myself. I did not even look this up prior, didn't even cross
I
my
had no
mind, wasn't
clue.
on my radar at all. I had no idea, and that's embarrassing to say, but we're all here to learn new things. Okay, thanks. Don't come at me. Anyway, so I thought it was like worth noting because of the 107 marked ones. It kind of just got me thinking like about the relics in the light. They were given to those specific people, the children of the rebellion,
Mm-hmm.
by Coda, General Melgren's dragon, and like this is kind of skipping ahead, so sorry, but this is where my brain went when I was reading it. But we don't know, like we talked about it in prior episodes of like, we don't know how the Empyrean comes into play as far as like the gods and everything like that. But like,
Right.
it just gets me thinking about how these gods and dragons are intertwined and how almost these marked ones that are supposed to be like not good, right?
Yeah.
But why do their relics shimmer and gleam then? Like, does that not scream heavenly to you?
That's a good point.
Or like of a higher power? Or relating to the sky? Like, I don't know. It just, and then obviously completely unrelated to the relics, but the Empyrean being relating to the sky, obviously Violet Signet
Mm-hmm.
relating to the sky, and like almost like herself is the Empyrean, which I think is kind of cool, but I don't know. That just like stuck out to me. So thanks to Jason for bringing it to our attention because I literally don't know why I never thought to look that up, but thank
I'm
you.
telling you. So, yeah, I get this message from Jason, and my jaw just dropped. I'm like, how? How did we never think to look this up or make this connection? Just my mind was blown. So, Jason, you are fantastic. Thank you so much. We
I know.
appreciate you. You really just added some whole other world to our episodes here. We appreciate it.
Yes. Just like brought so many more theories
I
into my
know,
brain. So I can't wait to
honestly.
like keep diving into that because I was like, how didn't I think of that? We even talked about it. Like, we're like, the Empyrean, like, there's the gods. Why haven't we talked about the gods? Like, where are they in the books? Like, there has to be more of them. Like, we've had this
And
conversation.
that's the
And then
cool
for us not to
thing.
even Google the word.
That's literally why he sends this message. He's like, I'm listening to the episode, just got to the part about the gods, dot, dot, dot.
Yeah.
Here's what Empyrean
Yes.
means. I'm like,
Yes.
okay, you are the best.
Bless your
10
sweet
out of
soul. Thank
10.
you. You are. It was so needed. I was like, oh, yep, I'm dumb.
It's all right. He swooped in
I
and
loved
saved the
it.
day
I
for our
appreciate
things
it.
that we didn't even know needed saving.
You did. No, I didn't, but I appreciated it.
So if you need another
Check him out on Insta.
Bookstagram
What
to
TBR?
follow, yeah, what TBR? We love it. Well, we can make this a reel and tag him so he gets his
Mm-hmm.
credit too. But moving on,
Yes.
yeah, it's just it's so crazy the like things that are coming to us now in being in multiple rereads, and even the things that we notice.
Mm-hmm.
It's just wild. And during presentation, even saying it's a tame chapter, I'm like, this is such an on edge chapter because you're like, okay, they're walking by these beasts and they have to play it cool because they're separated by
Yes.
7 feet. Garrick says, stay apart because if they deem one of you unworthy, they're just going to take you out right there. And if you're too close, well, they'll weed you all out just to make sure they got the one. How fucking scary is that?
Yep. Literally, I know you're my bestie, but stay the fuck away from me because no, like we can't both be cinched.
No, we cannot. We have to. No, we gotta survive this. Again, I will survive.
I survive. I know this whole, and then right at the beginning too, they're talking. They're talking about the different dragons. They've covered them in class.
Hmm.
They've studied them, looked at them. They know what's being presented, and they're like lining up, and they're like, "Oh, Luca is like." But I heard there's a feather tail. And they're
I
like,
hate Luca.
no, no, that's not right. I hate
You
Luca so
wrong.
much. But she's just like, yeah, I heard there's a feather tail. Like, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. No, you're a moron. And so, of course, they're like, no, 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 no. But really,
There's a feather tail.
there's a feather tail. And so they're like getting to the very end and, mid their normal conversation, and she sees this tiny little golden who's described as being only a few feet taller than Violet.
Hmm.
So Violet is super petite. And then there's this tiny little feather tail. It says, like a perfect miniature of the brown next to it. And like, yeah, you're like scared shitless, right? Then you get to the end and it's kind of like, oh, like a cute little
That's a
puppy at the very end.
cutesy little thing
Like,
like
can I take
you're
that
doing
one
here.
home? Yeah, that's just a cutie. Can I take it? And then, but really, Violet is the only one that's still, no, that's a dragon.
Hmm.
Respect them, blah, blah, blah. And they're, Tynan, they're just all sitting there. And Luca talking shit on this tiny little dragon as if all the other dragons can't hear them.
Hmm.
And it's just like, oh, that one is weak. That one can't even stand in a fight, saying these things. And it's just like, okay, check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Tynan literally says someone should kill it before it bonds. Ew, what a gross ass attitude. You know what? Like, if someone deemed you
It's
unworthy and
disgusting.
they're like, ew, someone should kill you. Okay, well, you know what, bitch? Let the dragons take you out at this
Mm-hmm.
point because we don't fucking want you here either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then they're all just saying, like, Luca's sitting there, you should totally bond it, Soragel. You're both freakishly weak. It's a match made in heaven. Like, okay. Maybe I will, but not because the dragon is weak, because it's a badass, because it's rare, because it's a feather tail.
Bitch.
This thing that we literally have zero to no information on. Like,
Yeah.
it's minimal information on what this dragon is or grows into and whatever. And they're like, oh, it's a mistake. That thing needs to die. Like, it's not a it thing that you need to get rid of. It's a dragon, and I don't know if you know this, but there's a bunch of other dragons standing right next to it that have no issue taking you out for your
Literally.
poor words of choice.
It's not that hard to just be like, wow, I wasn't expecting that.
I liked it though when they're sitting there picking on Violet, and Sawyer, this hero in casual
That's what I
wear,
just
is
pulled
like
up.
grabs on to, yes, he comes in and it's just like, quit talking about your squad mates like that. Like, doesn't matter where you're at, they can hear you. You need to stick up for your squad. Like, that's what the whole thing is about.
Yeah.
And like, that's what the dragons are testing you on, is how well can you work in a team with a pair, with your dragon, with these other riders. And they're setting a perfect example of like what not to do and how quickly you will be eliminated
Yeah.
because you're not a team player.
Well, and it's the most subtle sentence here, but it says Trina puts her hand on Sawyer's arm. Don't make a mistake in front of them. We don't know what they'll do, she whispers. So Trina's out here like, hey, I know you're doing this for a good reason, but not here. And I thought that was really cool.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Sawyer's
She's like,
fed up.
remember where we're at.
Yeah, time and place.
Mm-hmm. Time and place, and we don't want to paint you the bad guy, Sawyer, because you're not. And so,
Yeah.
take a breath, and it'll be fine.
You know, I thought the conversation
I
on
know.
their walk back
And
took a
then,
very interesting turn because Then they start talking about the wyvern, and the wyvern at this point are still just considered folklore.
Mm-hmm.
And we do get a description of the wyvern,
Mm-hmm.
which I'll dive into later in the dragon update. But they're like, Luca, you've never heard of a
Yes.
wyvern? Like, just giving her so much shit for not even knowing like childhood fairy
Mm-hmm.
tales. And I thought that was kind of funny. They're like jabbing back at her, but in a good way.
Well, and it's funny too because they're having this conversation and Violet and Rhiannon are like
Yeah.
laughing and like reminiscing. Violet's talking about how her dad used to read the fables to her every
Mm-hmm.
night. But then she does say something very interesting. She says, and I seriously asked him one time if mom was going to turn Venom because she
Mm-hmm.
could channel. Dun dun dun.
So I actually did mark that section too because it was like, it said that, Lilith had a really long night where they were stationed, and her eyes were just bloodshot from being tired. But Violet was scared from the stories from her dad telling her, that's what Venom looked like. And I'm like, was it a long
Mm-hmm.
night? Now I'm like, what's actually going on? But
Yeah.
it's okay. That's a time for another day.
Well, and her mom took the book away for
Mm-hmm.
a month, she said, like as punishment because she had made that comment.
And
And
she
so
was
then it was even
screaming so
like
loud.
there were repercussions for her even asking. Yeah.
Yeah, that she
It's
was
just
screaming
funny.
so loud that all the guards heard her, and she freaked everyone out that something was wrong. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
after.
Mm-hmm. And the kids are just Brennan and Violet are just giggling,
Hmm.
laughing hysterically. And she's like, it was a mess. And I love it because it's like a very relatable scene in like the midst of this deathly
Yeah,
dragon walk that they're on.
I know they're just joking
They're like America's
around.
Next Top Model down this bitch.
That's what I'm saying. As they're joking around, they're just walking, and then all of a sudden, Riddick's eyes are just wide. Because we've got two green dragons who are like,
Mm.
who are you? Violet. Who are you? Let me smell you.
What's
Let
she
me look at
doing?
you.
Hmm.
She kind of.
And they approach rather quickly.
Hmm.
Yeah. And they're just all up in our business.
She's reciting the knowledge that she has of the proper way to be around green dragons, and all these things that she's learned, she's putting it to good use, thankfully. And these two greens start kind of like smelling her up, and she realizes, she's like, oh my gosh, you guys smell Chine. That's Mira's dragon.
Hmm.
You guys smell his scales on me. So she explains them. She's like talking to them like they're her pets, like, oh yeah, it saved me and all of that. And they're just like, cool.
Like they're literally like, what is that? All up in her business, like literally picking up her arm and like like
Mm-hmm.
I just imagine like a golden retriever but massive, like
Mm-hmm.
coming up and being like, what do you have? Like if you have like food in your pocket and they're trying to figure out what the heck it
Yeah.
is. That's what these two dragons are doing. They're just like literally up in her business. And she's like, oh no, like she shrunk them. They're under.
Mm-hmm.
Only me and you know now, and Mira. And then Rhiannon is like on the other side of the dragons, like, Vi, are you okay? Like, yeah, I'm good. It's fine.
It was cool that she did trust Rhiannon with her secret, because she's like, this is the time to really start putting that trust in one another. So yeah, like, don't tell
Mm-hmm.
anybody this is our secret. But yes, I have this
Mm-hmm.
vest. We love
Well,
that.
and Reed like calls her out of like,
Mm-hmm.
why didn't you tell me about your trick on the gauntlet?
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm sorry, but moving forward, like some things I can share, but no secrets, no secrets.
Yeah, and if I
But then,
need
yeah,
your
Luca is
help
like,
and it's something that you can help me with, I will come to you, and vice versa.
yes, yes. And they do that a lot
Mhm.
already. And I love it. I love
It's
Reed.
just another
But then
reappreciation
Luca is
moment, and then we move
like,
into Luca the bitch.
Luca the bitch. And she's like, I thought they were going to eat you. Mm. But like disappointed, she's like,
Yeah,
"Ah, damn, like why didn't they?" And Violet is just like, yeah, me too. Like shit.
I survived.
She's like, I survived, but Riddick is like, you're insufferable, Luca. You're absolutely the worst. And then,
Whoosh!
guess the dragons think she's pretty insufferable
That
too.
was the best
Thanks,
comment he
Riddick.
could have made right then.
I just like imagine like he doesn't laugh, but like
Yeah, he's
smirks.
just like,
Like he says it. Yes. And I'm like, like, unfortunately for you, you died,
yeah.
but maybe that'll teach you. Well, I mean, it's irrelevant now, but like everyone around, like, remember they're watching, they're listening to everything you're saying.
Hmm.
And then,
And we
yeah,
actually,
literally just like the wing leader had said.
we also actually just
Sorry.
totally skipped over a key piece here too because we forgot about Prior. Our
Yes, we
indecisive squad
did.
mate who just cannot make up his mind. He's like, "Oh, well, yeah, we could pick it up, or we could slow it down, like whatever you want." And the dragon's like, "Yeah, no, we're not dealing with that. You're also getting incinerated." How sad!
You gotta go. You gotta go. I know. He's like, okay, should we leave? Or we could stay too. We could walk faster. We could slow
He's a people
down.
pleaser.
We're admiring. No, we're scared.
Yeah,
Like, he has no idea what to do. And this sweet, sweet boy should not have been in the Rider's Quadrant.
no,
Oh, bless his sweet soul.
he should have been a
So,
healer.
yeah, no. But he should, oh, that would have been, well, yeah, no, I could see that.
Yeah.
But Luca, that was like her whole point of it,
Mm-hmm.
like Prior, he should, he obviously is a weak link. Like that's why he deserved
Yeah.
it. And that's what she's saying in that moment. And she literally is like, and no one wants someone like that as a writer. And then boom, scorched.
Done.
Instant karma.
Insta kill.
God, Call of Duty. Apparently that's the theme for this episode.
Call of Duty and Ice Age.
Insta kill. Sid the Sloth.
But I mean that pretty much
No,
wraps
thanks.
up
I'm good.
chapter 12.
I mean, it was like a heart racing kind of, not racing, but get you kind of sweaty palms
Makes you nervous. Yeah.
chapter of like, yeah, like, oh God, what is going to happen? And then not even Violet, because you kind of know that, like, as the main character, she's probably not going to die, but like, we don't want the besties to die either.
Yeah.
So these other characters that we're loving, we're like, okay, oh, okay, they all made it through this chapter. Whew, relief.
Right. It's well, shall we just keep rolling on to chapter 13?
Sure.
Let's get a summary.
Chapter 13. October 1st is always Threshing. There are now only 147 cadets going to go through Threshing, but only 101 dragons willing to bond. Violet enters the valley unsure but hopeful she will leave as a rider on a dragon, but when things turn from bad to worse, she finds herself defending the small golden feathertail against Jack and his henchmen. All alone. Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. It made me
Dun, dun,
sad.
dun.
They all part ways because they're told don't walk in groups, walk alone, feel that pull, go find your own
Mm-hmm.
dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me sad that after it's been a few
Mm-hmm.
hours, Violet's like, I have passed every color of dragon and I don't feel a single connection. I don't feel a single pull. Is this what I'm destined for? To not bond and just keep going over and over again until I actually die. I'm like, oh, how terrible is that?
She like really does lose hope for a little
Yeah.
bit, and then like she like even climbs the tree, and even though she's completely convinced like I'll never become a writer, she's relieved to see other first years like wandering
Yeah,
around, kind of
looking for their
looking too. And so
dragons.
she's like, okay, I shouldn't be happy. I shouldn't be happy in this moment, but like, okay, there's still time. They haven't found their dragons yet either. Like, I'm not the only one. And then she says, like, that gives me
Yeah.
hope. And hope is a fickle thing.
Mm-mm.
Sure is. I
You know,
think the whole valley setup just like reminds me of like
I
Hunger
knew you were
Games.
gonna say the Hunger Games because that's exactly where my brain went. I'm like, yep, Hunger Games, 100%.
It's all I think, like when they're going, especially because they say like, like the seniors and wing leaders are like out and about kind of observing,
Mm-hmm.
but in my mind I'm like, no, they're like up in the game room watching from above, like not even in the
Oh
forest.
yeah, that's 100% what I think too.
Yeah, it's definitely Hunger Games. Obviously the correlation, it's the same.
I I just can't. And before they even split up, I want another second to hype our girl Ree because you know Dane gets brought into the conversation and Rhiannon just shits all over Dane's opinion. She's like, no, he doesn't get to have an opinion at this point. Like, fuck him. I'm like, yeah, girl, you are
Mhm.
a girl's girl. Go off.
She is a girl's girl through and through, and they have that little moment of like they give each other a hug and they're like, okay, but be careful, like you too. And then this is where I was thinking from last chapter, my cutie little Riddick. He's like, don't die. Like,
Yeah.
it's like these two are having this moment, and then Riddick is like the third wheel that like hops in the hug, and he's like, okay, don't die.
Honestly, I feel like he would just like be such a good third person in this little Bessie ship. Could you imagine having him in this podcast? It would like the
Yes.
unhinged thoughts that we already have, his would just like top it all, and I'm here for that.
He has a no filter, and we're here for it. I
It's
love
great.
Riddick so much. He's definitely a fave. He's
Absolutely.
definitely a fave. But so then she climbs up this tree, and she's in this tree, and she's scouting out where she needs to go and what she's gonna do. And then she sees a flash, and she's like, oh yeah, the golden dragon, the
Hmm.
feather tail. Let me go see what that's about. So she climbs back down, and then she hears the Three Stooges.
Jack
And
fucking
they are
Barlow.
planning Jack fucking Barlow. The loathe I have for this man. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot. I'm the Grinch. Hate, 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 hate.
Double
Loathe
hate.
entirely.
Loathe.
Double hate.
We love
I
him.
hate Jack Barlow. God. So they're, yeah, planning to kill the little golden one. And it's just so sad. But like in that conversation that she's just overhearing, Oren is already having the hesitation of like, you sure we shouldn't be spending our own time looking for our own
Yeah.
dragons? Because like, seems like a waste of time, and like we're only out here for so long. And they said, if we're out here past nightfall, then we're not going to
Yeah.
bond. And so like he's already hesitant then, and she's hearing this, but like Jack is still like, no, this has to be done. Like that thing's gonna get someone killed. It's for the best. Like he literally he says it's unwritable. A certified freak. No, you're a fucking certified freak. Like who's just out here trying to kill dragons, especially cute little gold ones? I'm offended.
I I just had the mental picture I just had of Jack Barlow, which I know is not even close to how he is described, but just and I don't even know why because I like this fictional character. But
Oh no, don't ruin it.
Zeke from Bob's Burgers, he's the one that's always like wrestling with Jimmy Jr. He's like, "Hey, Jeju."
I have to Google. I don't know who you're talking about. I love Bob's Burgers too.
Oh my
I
gosh.
haven't watched it in a long time though. Oh yeah. Oh my god. Oh my god.
He'd be like the evil alter ego of Zeke.
Yes. God, fucking Jack Barlow. Ricky in this case. He has a new
It's
nickname.
fine. It's fine. We just casually hate him. But I love
Uh,
that Violet's like, you know what? One thing I can confidently say is I know the woods better than them, and she just takes off to save this little gold dragon. She's like, I cannot let this happen. I should be finding
Mm-hmm.
my dragon, but in my good conscience, I can't let this happen. And she is just like hauling ass, being so sneaky, and they have no idea. I'm like, go off, sis. I love that for you.
Quiet as a feather, fast as lightning.
Ka-chow.
Ka-chow! Okay, the amount of videos that I've watched, and it's like, lightning strikes this tree, and then
Like,
it's the
ka-chow.
stupid Lightning McQueen. Meow, and I can't, every time I'm like, oh no, and then it's like, ka-chow! I'm like, god dang it. Oh, it gets me every time.
Callie, we need to make a reel because I have a
What?
Lightning McQueen toy. When they talk about the lightning striking, when Violet and Zane are making out, they're like, and lightning struck. I'm like, ka-chow.
Ka-chow!
All right, real idea has been made. We're making it.
Ka-chow! Oh my god. I love Violet. I love she does. She's sitting in the forest and like even though she knows she's has her hesitations of like, okay, this isn't even gonna happen. I'm not gonna bond. What if it doesn't happen for me? And then she's like, I can get there first and I can warn this dragon. Like, if I accomplish anything today, it's gonna be to save that little golden
Yeah.
dragon. Even though she knows that there's three of them and they're easily twice her size, and then you combine the three of them,
Yeah, 3 against
and
a
she's like,
1 who is
okay,
weak.
what, how, I gotta get there. Yeah, like I gotta get there first,
Mm-hmm.
but then she realizes she's not going to get there, but she still powers through and she's in the woods, hiding behind a tree, and she's like, hey, you, Goldie, fly away.
Go.
Shoo, fly.
Bad.
Shoo, shoo.
She's got her spray bottle.
And this thing's just like,
Huh? Me?
bad gold dragon. Yeah, and then Darna is just like, she just
Me?
kind of like literally like a curious dog, like,
Yeah.
huh? And it's so fun. It's just like, why are you just chilling? Get out of here. Go away. I don't know.
I love
Gotta get
it.
rid of this dragon. And then
Obviously, the gold dragon doesn't leave, so Violet steps out, and Jack's like, oh, look, we can take out both the Winkus Links at the same time. And, they're kind of like,
mhm.
just like gaining up on her. Violet's trying to use reason and emotion to sway Orin. And she's like, you cannot kill a dragon, because she sees Orin hesitating already. And you're like, come on, Orin, you know
Oh
better.
yes. So she singles him out, looks directly at
Yeah.
him. It goes against everything we believe in. And she's like, do the right thing. Like, with her eyes.
With her
Do the right
eyes.
thing. And Jack is just like, letting something so weak is against our beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's saying that, the codex and everything, that's not his problem. And she's like, oh my gosh, like this is gonna be my death. They are going to kill her, they're going to kill me, and then my scalp prickles. I would strongly recommend you rethink your actions. A voice, his voice, demands from across the field to my right, Zaddy swooping in when he's not even supposed to.
Zaddy and Sigale to the rescue.
Yeah.
He's just, and it's literally like the perfect bookish moment where I picture him just arms crossed,
Just like
leaning on
the
the
tree.
tree.
Uh-huh.
I would strongly recommend you rethink your actions.
And he just looks so good. And you're like, okay. I'll rethink whatever you tell me to rethink.
In that moment, how is she not like, sure, whatever you want?
Exactly.
Violet just like drops her daggers and like frolics over to Zayden. Okay.
Oh my gosh. I just love it.
Getting unhinged.
But we see him and we're like, whoo, wait. But then just next to him, watching with narrowed golden eyes, her fangs exposed, is Sigale, his terrifying navy blue dagger tail. Sigale is pissed. Like, she's big mad.
She is. She is literally so livid. And it's just like, I don't know what you think you're about to do, but you're definitely not about to do it.
Yeah.
Even though Xaden can't interfere,
She
Sigale
could.
can.
Yeah. And it's already been known that she doesn't typically
Watch out.
follow dragon law. So, I mean, watch her anyway. And that is literally where
she freaks me out. She's so scary.
that is literally where chapter 13 ends. Is just Sigale pissed. And you're like, oh god.
Chapter 13.
Moving right on along into chapter 14. A really, really good chapter. Callie, what's our summary?
Chapter 14. As a battle breaks out between Violet, Jack, Orin, and Tynan, Xaden watches on, unable to interfere. Violet stands her ground and uses her quick dagger skills to fight them off momentarily. She lands one dagger right in Jack's shoulder, sending him running for the trees. Then she manages to dodge Orin's sword and knock him unconscious, but there is still Tynan. He has already landed a good jab at her arm, and now they both fight through the pain, when suddenly Tarn, the largest black dragon, comes thundering down to the ground behind Violet, protecting the small golden dragon. Moments later, we hear the first connection happen. Step aside, Silver One.
Ugh.
As Tynan starts running for his life, fire blasts and nothing is left in his path. Tarn turns his attention to Violet. Get on.
Like, what? Oh, I'm sorry. Dun dun dun.
Can't move on unless we do that. Dun dun dun. Oh. I have been waiting so impatiently. Like, because we're doing the reread in correlation to the podcast. I've been waiting for these chapters. I love the dragons. I love the bond. I love the banter.
Yeah.
Give me more dragons. Like, oh, this is one of my favorite chapters. So good.
Honestly,
So good.
something that I thought was extremely interesting is actually the excerpt at the beginning of the chapter. It says, in the 6 centuries of recorded history of dragon and rider, there have been hundreds of known cases where a dragon simply cannot emotionally recover from the loss of their bonded rider. This happens when the bond is particularly strong, and in 3 documented cases has even caused the untimely death of the dragon. Like, that's so wild because they're like, why dragons even choose to bond with us? We're such insignificant humans to them. But the dragons actually do care, and there's been cases of them dying from grief. It's wild. But Xaden,
they were literally giant puppies.
They
because it's 100% what a dog would do.
Absolutely.
Like, die from grief. I noted that too in my notes. I love that they were like so, and we see it as it comes up in the next chapter of like that they really do think highly of humans, even though there's moments like with Luca and Prior, they're not going to waste their time if they don't deem you worthy.
Yeah.
But once they do and that bond is created,
they're there for you.
It's like they were so there for you. It's so good.
It's just another best friend.
And then it just immediately after the italics, Xaden. That's all. Just Xaden in italics.
With a giant bolded capital X.
I love his name. For the first time, the sight of him fills my chest with hope. He won't let this happen. He might hate me, but he's a wing leader. He can't just watch them kill a dragon. But then it's like, it's the worst because she knows the rules and she knows them more than most people at this point. And so for then Jack to point out of like, he can't do anything, like, oh shit, he knows the rules too. Like,
Yeah.
okay, he's here. And yeah, you're right. Xaden actually can't do anything in this moment, but he can still be there and like observe what's happening.
Yeah.
And like we said, like Sigale, there, I mean, Xaden is not above breaking the
No.
rules. I don't think at this point. Like, we don't know him that well. We fully think, his dragon is ruthless.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Xaden is ruthless. Like, who's to say he won't step in and take you out, Jack?
Yeah.
Like, but in Violet's mind, she's like, oh, he definitely wants me dead too. So yeah, like he doesn't care. What is he gonna do?
Right. I like Xaden's simple comment when Jack's like, "You can't do anything, right, wing leader?" And he's like, "Oh, it's not me you should worry about." And he's just like, Sigale. Yeah.
Watch out for this right here. Yes.
This puppy is the definition of a blue pit bull. She loves who she loves, but she hates who she hates. She's honey.
I love a little blue pitty.
It's my honey.
Yeah. Oh, honey. Honey biscuit.
For context, I had a blue pit bull named Honey Biscuit,
Mm-hmm.
so we're not just like, who the fuck is Honey?
Some random blue pitty that we named from the internet.
Yep.
No, she was the best little pitty ever. We love her.
Yep, she was great.
She's great.
Anyway.
Anyway, moving on. So Violet, she knows that she's weak in the sense she can't lift a sword or manage a sword,
Yeah.
but she's quick with her daggers. So she's out here pulling all the stops, lands one in Jack's shoulder, she's got one in Tynan's thigh, and then she even slices down Orin's ribs, and they're still all coming at her. Well, minus Jack, who apparently is the biggest pussy ever because, like, gets hit and then takes off for the trees.
Jack,
like,
we
and
have
she's
to
just
kill
a
the
fucking
weakest
coward.
link. Oh no, I got a
We
little
have to.
stabby. I need to run like a bitch.
Bitch baby.
We got crybaby
Him and Dane
Dane
should hang
and
out.
bitch baby Jack.
We got all the babies. Oh yeah, he makes me so mad. But then, yeah, like Sigale is sitting there watching this happen. Of Jack is running off, and he's still ordering the other two, kill her, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And so Tynan and Orin are still going at her. She's still holding her ground, and Sigale is just kind of watching on at this small, violent little thing, taking on these men. And I think this is kind of the moment where she's like, "Hey, Taryn, like come check this out. Come see what's happening over here because
Yeah.
I know you said you don't want to bond, but this is pretty cool right now, Like, I don't know, I thought about that because of the bond between the two. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't at presentation. So at what point does
Sigale tell
the
him.
communication happen of, yeah, like she has to be like, "Hey." So in my head, it's this moment. She's like, "Come see."
I mean, honestly, too, if we take a humongous leap into Iron Flame, because we know that Andarna is not Tyron and Sigale's, but that she's from,
Hmm.
we'll dive into that in Iron Flame. She's not theirs, but she
Yes.
waited to hatch until she knew that Violet was going to enter the quadrant. So what if Andarna and Tyron also
Yes.
have that ability because they're talking to each other and she's like, I'm out here, she's here, you better come see. And Sigale's like, get the fuck out here, this is serious. Is this like
True.
a triangle
True.
conversation?
I guess I wasn't even really thinking about that. Yeah, I wasn't even really thinking about that of
Yeah.
from Andarna's perspective of I just, yeah, because immediately I'm like, Sigale, badass
Yeah.
bitch that she is like, okay, yeah, she's worth it. You can come see, like, scoping her out, because why else are Xaden and Sigale in the fucking forest to begin with?
Mm-hmm. Well, and
Like, other than, yeah, he's a wing leader and they're just observing, but why are you right here, right now with Violet?
mm-hmm. And it says that Sigale is showing her agitation. She is just pissed over the whole ordeal, watching them fight. And Zayden knows he can't physically step in, so he's helping the best he can. He's like, oh, behind you, like telling her where they're about to strike her so she can just like take them out on her own while still following the rules. We love him.
I loved it because then Tynan's pissed and he's like, "You can't interfere."
Another baby.
And he's like, "Nope, but I can narrate. I can narrate. Like, I'm not doing anything. It's literally that child. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you."
Lilo and
And that's Zayden. He's just like, yes.
Or it's the like,
I do.
who, me? What? Zayden's like, no.
But maybe, okay. And then all of a sudden, Taryn enters the chat. It's somehow, some way, someone is communicating with him, and he's like, boom, just drops onto the ground out of fucking nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the biggest dragon, and we don't even hear him coming. And then he literally just lands right behind Violet. And she's like, wait, what are you staring at, Tynan? What the hell? Why does your face look like that?
Why are we all in the shade all of a sudden?
Oh no, where'd the sun go?
We just look up and there's just this massive black dragon. Okay, so it's...
And he's just casually step aside. Like, and she's like, wait. Oh shit, he's talking to me. And he's just like, yeah, you stupid move. I'm trying to help you. And then literally one fire blast and Tynan is just insta-kill. Insta-kill.
I do think that it's interesting because Tyran wants her to kill Oren while he's knocked unconscious, and she's like, I can't kill an unconscious man. And he's like, but he would do it to you. And she's like, well, that's on him. That shows his character, not mine.
And then I like because then Taryn just blinks and she's like, oh shit, is that the right thing to say? Is that the wrong thing to say? Am I next? And he's just like, okay, like, all right, that'll suffice. Good answer.
And he's just like,
you get to live another day.
He's simply like, you're bleeding. Stop it.
Stop it. As if she could just, okay,
let me just will my blood to stop coming out. Hold on.
I know. And then he's like, do you bleed often? No, I try not to. But yeah, at some point in this, strange interaction that is now happening between Violet and Taryn, Zaddy and Sigale just like, okay, that's cool. We're gonna leave and like just blast into the air. Like, okay. And she's like, yeah, they're like, pieces, that was fun. And Violet's like, okay, thanks for saving me. Not like, why are you leaving me here with these two wild dragons? Now what am I supposed to do? Okay, thanks. And Taryn's just like, get on my back.
And it was funny because, and Darna finally flies away and she's like, guess you can fly.
Oh my God.
Okay, thanks for tricking me.
Yeah. How many times I asked you to leave and like now you can fly. Okay, great.
And
okay, great.
Violet is described as only coming up to Tyrion's ankle, and we know that he is bigger than all the other dragons. So we gotta think over 30 feet. Like, he is just massive, and Violet's only 5'2". So, like, itty bitty. Well, her and I are the same
just
height.
Petite.
So
and he's
yeah. And it says drag.
You're only 5'2"? Wait, what?
Yes.
We've been friends for how long? And you're 5'2"?
Okay, we haven't seen each other in 4 years. Of course you're going to forget how small I am.
Long distance besties.
LDR problems.
You're right.
Long distance relationship issues.
Relationship. We gotta stop putting that out into the world.
A friendship is a relationship, okay?
Anyways, this is one of my favorite lines, Taryn lines ever, because she says, "Do you have any idea how huge you are? Like,
Yes.
bitch, have you seen you?" And he says, "One does not live a century without being well aware of the space one takes up."
He's so
Now get on.
sassy.
He's so goddamn sassy. Like, bitch, I'm 100 years old and I fucking know that I cannot fit into most places. Will you get on my damn back
Can't
now?
walk through a goddamn drive-through, all right?
Literally. I've been missing out on In-N-Out forever and I'm pissed about it, okay?
I just want a milkshake.
We don't even have In-N-Out here. I don't know why that came into my mind.
I don't know if we have it here or not, but I mean, it's not worth the hype either, so.
No,
It's
it's just the first. I don't know how that popped into my head. But
he's out here trying to go get a Baja Blast
Dragon
at
chatter.
Taco Bell.
That was all the rage in high school.
You know, it says dragons never supplicate for
Truth.
anyone, and yet he's like, ugh, you can't mount like a normal fucking rider. Fine. He's just like, let me extend my legs so you can just kind of like climb up me.
Let me help you. Mm-hmm.
And you know what? He's just a sassy old man, and we love that. He's like the grumpy old dad. And, you know, she gets in her seat, and there is no way I'm going to be able to pronounce his entire lineage, but he does say, "My name is Tarnanok, son of blah, 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 descended from the cunning blah, blah, blah line," you know? But I'm
Blah,
not
blah, blah.
going to assume
Yeah,
that
I
you'll be
wrote
able
it.
to
I
remember
wrote it
that
out.
once we reach the field. So Tarn will do until I inevitably have to remind you. Okay, sasshole.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You don't have to yell at me yet. We don't know. You don't know that I can't say it. But then there was a moment they have as they're going, and she's like, "How am I supposed to get up here? Whatever." And he goes, "You are a writer, are you not?"
Mm-hmm.
And I love this moment because literally moments ago, she's like, "Am I gonna be a bonded writer? Am I even cut out for this?" But he's like telling her, like, "Yes, you
You
are
made
a
it
writer.
here.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's go." But then her sassy ass comes up back with, "That seems up for debate at the moment." Like, bitch, shut up. Get on his man's back. He's trying to help you.
On this man's back.
The two they both just like, it's one or the other with the sass, and I'm like, no wonder you get along so well. Like, chill.
It's just so perfect. He really is just the grumpy man, and we love that. And knowing that he is based off of Rebecca's late English
He's so
bulldog,
grumpy.
it just makes it even better.
Is the best. Is the best. I had a bulldog for a number of years, and our bulldog's name was Champ, and he was an English bulldog, and he was a grouch and a half. So I totally understand it. He literally was so stubborn. You couldn't move him. He wasn't, he was just old and like, "I'm not doing that. If I don't want to, I'm not doing that." And like, you would like, "Okay, get off the couch." And he would just look at you like, "No,
Nah.
bitch."
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I get it. It's bulldog energy for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, the dragons are dogs. I'm just convinced.
Mm-hmm.
Giant dogs.
They are.
But then the worst ending to a chapter. Is it the worst? I don't know. This feels pretty
A
fatal.
pretty detrimental ending.
No pun intended. Just casually ending the chapter with Violet free falling to her freaking death because she can't hold her seat.
Like, bitch.
Thanks. I love when a chapter ends with the biggest cliffhanger because then I have to read the next chapter. So, chapter 15.
I mean, truly, Just why? And yeah, then, they do that on purpose because you're like, okay, it's only 2 in the morning. One more chapter won't hurt.
Oh my god, just one more chapter, and then you're like, 2:01, like, I'll be done at 2. Oh, it's 2:01, I better stay up and keep reading.
I'll be done at 2:30. Oh, 2:35. Okay, well, 3.
Ugh, 3, it's okay. I don't need sleep. What's sleep anyway?
What is our chapter 15 summary?
Now, as a bonded rider, whoop whoop, Violet and Taryn make their way back to the flight field. Still unsure of what just happened, Violet turns to Taryn for some answers. As they fly through the sky, we see other riders and dragons soaring around them as they land in the flight field. Is that? Yes, he is, Violet announces as she and Taryn land next to the little golden dragon. Although she is still caught up in the moment of having bonded one of the most famous dragons, Violet still searches for approval from her mother. As she approaches the roll keeper to give the name of her bonded dragon, we hear the little golden one announce hers. Violet has not bonded one, but 2 dragons. Way to go, Vi. Like, I'm sorry. Yep.
Round of applause.
You're officially a badass. Oh my god, that was a chapter that didn't need a dun dun dun.
Oh,
This is like a happy chapter.
it's a round of applause.
Round of applause.
We truly need one of those little buttons that will like play the music or the clapping or like the yay, so we can just like feel it out at each chapter summary end and just push those buttons.
Don't convince me I need a stream deck. I've already sent you them and it's fine. It's fine.
I will not say another word. Okay, the excerpt in this chapter, super interesting. Just because you survive threshing doesn't mean you'll survive
Very
the ride to
important.
the flight field. Being chosen isn't the only test, and if you hold your seat, and if you can't hold your seat, then you'll fly straight into the ground. Page 50 of the Book of Brennan. Yikes.
Yeah. Which is the worst because obviously chapter summary gives it all away, but you leave chapter 14 and you anxiously flip the page and she's just still falling in the air. Like, she hasn't been caught yet. She's still falling. And it says, the sun catches the scales of the golden one far beneath me. Like, okay, cutie little Goldie flying right below mom and dad, but like, still falling. Still falling. And then he catches her and saves her and does like a whole little flip. But also the fact that he's this enormously large dragon and is able to catch such a small, tiny human, 5'2" human, and not crush her or like stab her with his claws. That's impressive.
And
That's impressive.
He literally says, "You're making us look bad. Stop it." I'm sorry.
Stop it. Stop it. Squirt bottle. Stop it.
Be a better writer.
I can't.
It's just crazy because he
She's
literally
like,
just
Mel, this is hard. If you'd quit the acrobatics.
Well, yeah, and he's like, we've got to, or no, he's like, simple flight is hardly acrobatics. And then he's like, but we will have to put on a show.
So now be ready for the acrobatics. But so she's sitting here contemplating, like, how the heck this even happened. And Taryn, being like literally one of the deadliest dragons in Navarre, the only unbonded black dragon, he hadn't even agreed to bond, hadn't been seen in the last 5 years, and then his previous rider had died during the rebellion. Like, why is this man crawling out of the woodwork now? And then she's like, why me? Like, why did you pick me?
Mm-hmm.
And she's asking for these questions, and he's just like, casual. He's like, because you're the smartest in your year. Like, I know exactly who and what you are, Violet Sorengale. And I'm like, again, he's just like hype man.
Insert Michael's voice
thanks.
here.
Yes. I know exactly who and what you are, Violet
We love
Soringen.
it.
That's a very poor impression. I apologize to anyone who had to hear that.
You know I
But
sure as hell can't do
and then
it.
too, his little quick remarks back to her of like, because she's like, what the hell, like,
Mm-hmm.
why me? And he's like, there's no need to shout, I can hear you just fine.
And he's just giving
She's
her
like,
little pointers, like,
but
you're gonna have to strengthen your legs,
yes.
grip harder with your knees. Like, he's trying to help her. Whereas she looks over and someone falls off the back of a red, and the red's like, well, you lost your seat, bitch, bye.
See ya.
And he actually
See ya.
cares.
And he does, and he tells her, you will not fall, I will not allow it, you will trust me.
Yeah.
And so she's like, okay, sure. But then she notices as they're literally spiraling and flipping and going 90 degrees straight up and then coming barreling back down, he's holding her in her seat.
Yeah.
A dragon has never been known to help a rider whatsoever. Case in point, the dragon that literally just watched his rider fall to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
They do not care. They will not help you. You are not worthy of them to swoop down and save you. But somehow Violet is, and Taryn is like, you will trust me and it'll be fine. And I got your back. You will not die today.
Not only did he literally save her from falling, but he has used his magic to bind her legs to him, bind her hands to the pommel. Like, she is there so they can do their
Mhm.
acrobatics. And he literally says, we're going to have to put on a show.
Acrobatics. Hmm.
Yeah, just so great. Like,
After
he's
he says,
boosting.
simple flying is hardly
I
acrobatics.
know. It's just crazy. And she's like, there's nothing like this. And he's like, all right, I think we made our point.
Hmm.
But she does,
But then he's still, so
go ahead. No,
sorry, go
go.
ahead. So she's, yeah, still wondering, like, why me though? Why, what happened? How did we get to this point? And he's like, because you saved her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, which at this point too, we learned that little Goldie is a
Yep.
girl dragon. We need more girls. But then also she's like, but dragons value strength and cunning and ferocity in their riders. And he's like, please do tell me more about what I should value. Please, you
Callie.
measly little human, tell me how me, a dragon, what?
Shrek. Donkey's talking to the dragon.
What?
He's like, oh, you're a girl dragon. Of course you're a girl dragon.
A pretty girl
I mean, look
dragon.
at those
Yeah,
wings.
that's how I felt. I'm like, oh, and those
Yeah.
eyelashes.
And she's like, Yet again, another time that donkey and dragon enter the fourth wing world.
It literally applies so well though, because scale, size wise, the awkward relationship, donkey dragon makes
Yep.
sense.
It,
Plus, we love
we
Shrek.
do love Shrek.
I'm going to embarrass the heck out of myself with this one. And if you know me, no, you don't. But when I was, I don't know, maybe like 9 or 10 or 11, I don't know when that movie came out. I had a birthday party where we went and saw Shrek in the theater, and it was the highlight of my year. Like, that was what I planned for my birthday, was to go to Shrek.
I love that for you. It was 2001 when Shrek came out, so we were in first and second grade.
Why do you know
I just
that?
looked it up.
Okay, so I was even younger. Yeah,
I
I
I
loved it.
actually
It was the
just had this
best. I had a great
conversation as to
time.
when Shrek came out because I was like, oh my god, Shrek's 23 years old.
Oh, he's so young. The movie.
He's just
Funny.
Shrek.
Get it? Like he's 23.
Shrek's in his early 20s. It's great. He can't go out today. He's swamped.
He's feeling 23. He's swamped. Same.
He's feeling 23. Oh, I love this for us.
I'm sorry. I can't control myself, okay? Ugh.
You know what?
Anyway,
Moving
back
on.
to my favorite little duo. Yeah, they land. There's so many, I don't know. There's just so many good Terran lines in this entire
Yeah.
chapter. And yeah, he's like, you were the smartest of your year, the most cunning. You defended the smallest with ferocity. The strength of courage is more important than physical strength, since you apparently need to know before we land. Since you apparently need to know, like, she's not asking much. She's just like, why me, bro? Like, why me?
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes, you need to dismount before I rethink my selection.
And I love how her dismount is
Oh,
even
shit.
described. Because,
Yeah.
he has to move for her yet again because, her ankle's shattered at this point. Like, and so he moves again, angling his front leg. And it says, then I slide down on my butt like he's a bumpy piece of lethal playground equipment.
And he goes, that's one way to do it.
It's so
I
good.
can't. He's like, okay, sure. I guess that's one way to do it. But now the realization has finally hit. She's back on the flight field. She just dismounted her dragon and she's like, oh my God, I'm standing on the flight field and I'm not a cadet
Yeah.
anymore. I'm a rider. I did it. Look, Ma, I made
Hey,
it.
look, Ma, I made it.
Look, Ma, no
Oh,
hands.
God. No, Vi, keep your
Yeah,
hands. Keep your
exactly.
hands, girl. You gonna fall.
Yeah, literally.
It's interesting, though, because she sees our little gold friend, and she's all tucked in. Let's see. She's tucked in next to Tarn, surveying me with bright eyes as she flicks her feather tail. Violet says to her, I'm glad you made it. Glad isn't even the right word. Thrilled, relieved, grateful. But maybe you should fly off next time someone suggests you save yourself, eh? She blinks. Maybe I was saving you. And we're like, holy shit, okay, we have just gotten the official voice of our girl. Okay.
Which in this moment it is interesting because she's kind of like, holy shit. She just talked to me. And then Violet's like, you're not supposed to talk to humans that you're not bonded with. So she's like,
Big
don't go getting
foreshadow.
yourself in trouble, Goldie.
Yeah.
Like, yes. So then, she's, hey, watch out. You better get out of here. Like, I hear dragons are pretty strict about breaking the rule.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it still doesn't even occur to Violet that this
Dragon is talking to her.
is even a possibility because it's unheard
Yeah.
of for someone to bond two dragons. So she just kind of forgets it and moves on and is trying to figure out, how to approach and not figure out how, but she's realizing, okay, I gotta go up there, I gotta tell him what I gotta do. This is my dragon. Holy shit. This is real. This just happened.
Mm-hmm.
Also, my mom is here. She's onlooking. I want to impress her. She doesn't even have an inkling of care that Violet is still alive, it doesn't seem. Lilith is still okay, whatever. And then she approaches and they're like, is that, and want to announce Taryn, and Lilith is pissed and is like, don't say it, don't
Yeah,
say it.
that's what just
Because
got me
she,
so
yeah,
mad.
somehow
Not until
thinks
she does.
it's, yes, she has to say it first. Like as if Violet didn't just ride up on this giant dragon and is now about to tell you his name. And then the best part is because, of course, Taryn is like, if you remember, and she's like,
Mm-hmm.
Taryn, which horrible pronunciation. Don't come at me. But yeah, obviously she did. Lilith. God.
It's all right. And she says, like, for the record, please tell me the name of the dragon who chose you. She says, Tarnanak. He says, pronunciation could use some work. But then just, in the little background of her mind, and Darna you are, and she's like, I'm sorry, what? Come again?
She does a whiplash moment, huh? You talking to me?
I'm like, tell her.
Are you sure?
Tell the roll keeper her name. So it says, I turned back.
And then for her to like turn to Taryn too.
Yeah, and ask him, like, what do I do?
Sorry, go ahead.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, we're on the same page here. We're saying the same things. I turn my back to the woman and clear my throat. And Darna you are, I whisper. Her eyes fly wide. Both dragons? And all hell breaks loose.
Da, da, da. And that seems like the worst place to leave an episode, but it's what we're doing because chapter 16 through 20 are next time. Yeah, so that is chapter 15, and we'll keep moving along into our dragon segment. Montana?
Yes, so our quick little 12 through 15 dragon update. We learned some good stuff still. Violet did let us know you never look a red in the eye, you never back down from a green, and you don't show trepidation to a brown. And then a little bit more about the greens. She says that, let me see here. The greens, if you're approaching, you lower your eyes in supplication and wait for their approval. So you literally just kind of like bend and wait. And usually they're good about that because it says greens are the most reasonable. And, our little clip of that is when the two greens approach her to smell Chine's scales on her. The average dragon is 25 feet, so I cannot even imagine how big Tyron is. And then talons are half of Violet's size. So you got to think, like, we're 5'2", and just their talons alone are just about half of that. That's insane. One talon, half my body size? That's a big nail. So like we talked about with presentation, the dragons are getting a sense of who you are by how you're walking, how you're talking. You don't want to make eye contact. You want to walk 7 feet apart because they'll scorch anyone they don't like. You don't want to be caught in that. And then during threshing, you want to walk alone, not in a group, because you need to find your own dragon. And again, if they don't like one of you, they'll kill all of you to make sure that one dies. We do have 2 official dragons who have entered our happy little lives here. Andarna, or Andarna. She's a feather tail with paws, not claws. So we were like, wow, okay, she's a baby. And she has bonded our girl Violet, our cute little Goldie, and her silver one. And then we've got Tarn, who is Tarnanok. He is sassy. He is huge. He helps Violet, and he is the ultimate hype man. The biggest black dragon, a century old, ruthless, but we love him. And then we get our first description of the wyvern. They're still calling the wyvern folklore. But they say they're, quote, kind of like dragons, but bigger, with 2 feet instead of 4, and a mane of razor-sharp feathers that goes down their neck, and a taste for humans. Unlike the dragons who think we're a little too gamey. Like, okay.
That line cracks me up because I'm sorry I'm not to your liking. You could cook me, I don't know, not so well done, and I probably would be fine.
Do I need to, like, fatten up a little bit, or what?
It's because they're scorching them.
Facts.
I don't know.
Honestly, though. But yeah, that's my dragon update. Nothing too crazy this one. And these were some good chapters, though.
These were very good chapters, and moving into more Tarn and Andarna in the next chapters. I'm so excited. Yes. And then we also learned some more things. So we just have to wait and see.
Dun, dun, dun.
But yeah, this was a good dun dun dun. I officially need that on like a speed button.
We needed a button, yeah.
It's officially part of it. Dun 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 across my shirt. Dun dun dun.
We have to.
Or what is that on? Now I hear it and I can't think of what it is. Is it Minions? Dun
Dun,
dun
dun!
dun! It's like super hyper. Yes. Yep. Accurate.
I loved that. I loved that so much for
This
us.
Tarn version and the Minions version. Or in Darna version.
Yeah, she could be the Minions version.
Oh my god.
Before we get a little more
Gold,
wild
yellow,
here.
same thing.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to wrap this up before
Mm-hmm.
we just get too crazy with our thoughts out here. But if you stuck with us through the whole
Yes.
thing and continued on with episode 3, thank you so much for being a part of our journey. And we will see you guys in the next one.
Remember to leave us a review or a rating, as that will help us keep growing and sharing. And we love what we're doing, so please help us keep doing it. Thank you, guys.
Bye.